Now, it is gone 8 o'clock, so it is officially now SportsFeva time, Swampy. We had a little bit of a basketball talk there before, but SportsFeva time, and today, well, if you don't like rugby league, and if you particularly don't like your local rugby league, look, turn the station down because you're not going to enjoy today's show.
I can't think there's too many SportsFeva's listeners that don't enjoy a good bit of local rugby league.
Well, that's how SportsFeva was born, about local rugby league. So that's our birthplace lies in that Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League competition.
It feels a little bit strange, Matty, to be talking about it. What are we, the first week of May now? You know, the NRL's kicked off 6 weeks ago. The Queensland Cup kicked off 7 weeks ago. But here we are finally talking about round one of the Sunshine Coast Gympie Rugby League. But I tend to think the pre-season competition that they worked into the season this year was a good thing, especially when you look at the pre-season, or the pre-pre-season, if you will, the opportunities that came up. I think Caboolture had organised a couple of matches, but both were rained out. And you'd hate to see a side go into the season having not played a match full stop. So I kind of like this pre-season competition that they've run. They give teams to have a good hit out and blow out those cobwebs, and we'll get to see some good footy now. The season's finally about to kick off.
Yeah, I think Easter this year determined how it's been set up, and that just kind of depends often how this comp's got to run. But I know we've seen in previous seasons some early season games that are official games, but because there's only a smallish amount of teams in the comp, because teams have to play each other so many times, up to 4 times in a regular season, what we're seeing, those early season games just had no impact. I know you could get points, but it was hard for the teams to get motivated for them, and they just seemed to be going through the motions. So to turn that early season into more of an official pre-season comp, I think it was a great move by the Sunny Coast Gympie Rugby League, and now we're into this, the season proper, and this morning we're going to talk to Bribie Island.
Ben Olsen, of course, big things there with the Warragul / Seagulls, Matty, that merger with the A grade during the year. So Ben will take us through all of that, and we'll see how they've been going.
Yep, we'll also talk to good friend of the show, Chuck Tomlinson. He's in charge of the Snakes again in 2013. The Snakes were looking so good in 2012 and just kind of got the staggers late in the year, and Chuck will be out to redeem that and try and get results closer to 2011, of course, when they were the premiership winners. And also we'll talk to James Ward, who is the CEO of Sunshine Coast Rugby League, and we're going to try and make that a regular thing with James, where we check in with all the results every week and preview and review the games on the weekend. And also our Facebook page, SportsFeva 101.5 FM. If you haven't liked it, make sure you get on there. We're going to try and put the scores up from the weekend. As soon as we get scores through from the competition, we're going to try and throw them on our Facebook page so you can keep updated on the Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League. And to round out the show today, Swamp, it's an action-packed rugby league show. I guess his Redcliffe royalty, Sam Obst, of course, the son of Redcliffe legend Tony Obst and grandson of absolute Redcliffe legend Ken McCrowan. He'll be joining us on the show. A real journeyman, a former 2-time Colt of the Year at the Dolphins, headed off to the Roosters. Probably didn't get the success that he would have headed down to the Roosters with Mick Crocker. And then a rugby league journeyman, went and spent some time over with Wakefield and Hull over in the UK. Has come back, is playing with the Northern Pride, and we'll have a chat to Sammy about his rugby league journey. And I really like some of and we've spoken to Dane Campbell previously on the show, some of these journeys that they mightn't have played at the elite level state of origin, but rugby league has just taken on such a journey. Trent Clayton's another local that has ended up playing for France and in France, and I think sometimes rugby league it can change your life. You mightn't have to play at that top level, but you still can create such a life experience for you.
Paul Ayton, another one of those, Matty, of course, played those handful of games for Cronulla, but I believe he's over playing for Hull at the moment, and I think I may have got that wrong, but he's definitely over in the UK, and sort of a bits and pieces player here, but a real star over in the UK and doing some wonderful things there. So it's great to see those opportunities open up internationally for young players and generally players across the board who want to make a career out of rugby league.
Yeah, absolutely. Another name that springs to mind, Dustin Cooper. who played for the Finns and for the Melbourne Storm as well. Brother to Gavin Cooper, of course, Cowboys second rower, and chalked up his 150th game recently. Last year, he was captain coach of a team in Boston. So it just shows you where rugby league can take you. I think former Finn Craig Priestley might play over there as well. So, I really love those stories where rugby league can take you, not just to that elite level, but right around the world.
What are the Boston... What are they? The Boston what?
I think they're actually called the Boston 13s, funnily enough. Not the most creative name, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll find that out before the show, but I've got a feeling they're the Boston 13s.
Not bad, though. Not bad.
I've heard worse.
A lot of sporting history in Boston.
There is. So
to be part of it.
That could be. I think that they won it, or they got to a grand final at least last year. I'll find out this information by the end of the show, Swamp, because I know you really want to know. But we'll play a song, and we'll be back to talk Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League. Dire Straits with Calling Elvis. It is 8 minutes past 8 here on 101.5. You listen to Sports Fever with Matthew and Peter Swampy Marsh. As promised, time now to talk some Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League. And starting off with one of the teams in our local area, Swampy, the Bribie Island Warrigals. Over the last couple of years, fair to say, been some rough times for the Warrigals, but we've, as we heard through the off-season, exciting new venture in a partnership, I guess we can call it, with the Sunshine Coast Sea Eagles from the Intrust Super Cup. Their Fogs Cup team now is going to play in the Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League under the banner of the Bribie Island Sea Eagles, and we got their coach joining us on the line. A very good morning to Ben Olsen.
Morning, how you going?
Yeah, we're really good here this morning, Ben, and very excited about the competition finally kicking off officially with round one at the weekend. Before we do get to the actual competition itself, mate, give us a little bit about your own rugby league background and sort of your time in the game up until now.
Mate, I was played most of my league at Ipswich Jets, and then I moved over to England, played Super League over there for London Broncos. Joined up captaining, and then I did a bit of coaching up at Oldham, and then I moved on to Salford and assistant coach to Salford, and then that was about 20 odd years ago, mate, and I moved back here and sat on my bum for a while, and then started coaching up at Nambour again and won a premiership with Nambour under 18s, and then they asked me down to the Sea Eagles. Had a year down there as an assistant coach, and they've asked me to take over this new joint venture with Bribie Sea Eagles this year.
So I guess for you, Ben, it's a really good fit because you know that Sea Eagles set up, I guess, but you're also aware of what a great comp the Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League comp is as well.
Oh, mate, comp's a real good comp, as all the boys found out this year when they started off. A few of them were a bit up in the air, thinking they were going to go out there and win some of these games quite easily. And I remember our first game against Caboolture, they went out there pretty confident, and I could see all their faces at half time, mate. They were all down in the air, and that they just didn't know what hit them. They got hit that hard by Caboolture, and they all sort of woke up a bit after that and started realising that it is a really good comp.
Ben, I mean, yeah, couldn't be more right there, mate. Just looking through the results very quickly on Bribie. First round of the pre-season comp defeated Caboolture 16-14. Second round defeated Kawana 14-12. Third round dusted Caloundra 40-16, but in the grand final went down to Noosa 20-18. So 3 of the 4 games there, Ben, being decided by 2 points.
Yeah, mate, we were lucky to get away with that Caboolture game. It was only a chip kick and chase that pulled us out of that one. But yeah, it's a very strong comp. And then watching the other games up at Noosa on the weekend, there were a lot of close games up there as well from sides that have been beat convincingly recently. And then they've turned the tables around and they've got good wins against other sides that we didn't throw that many points on. So no one really knows which way it's going to go at the moment.
Oh, I think when we spoke earlier in the season, Ben, before things had really got started, there were, I suppose, a few other teams that were saying that the Sea Eagles side was going to come in and sweep the competition this year, but it certainly hasn't been that case at all. And has it been a little bit of a case of the boys have got a target on their backs when teams are playing the Sea Eagles, that they're keen to step up and prove themselves a little bit?
Yeah, it's pretty well. It's been shown already that all the teams are stepping right up to beat us, and that. And I don't blame them because we're more the professional side of it because we've got the Intrust Super Cup squad ahead of us, and all our boys are trying to get into that squad. So yeah, mate, we have got a bit of a target on us, and it certainly has shown.
Now, take us through. Well, we spoke earlier in the year with Shane Moon about the setup between the Sea Eagles and the War Eagles. So, as we know, the Fogs Cup team plays in the Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League, but there still is that opportunity if some of the War Eagles guys via reserve grade are showing some form. There is that pathway still for them to crack that Sea Eagles side, isn't there, Ben?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've got a system where I pick 21 players every week, and we normally throw 4 players back to Bribey every week to play in their reserve grade side. But all the Bribey players, I go down and watch them every week. Every one of them's got a chance of coming up into our side. So we're definitely looking at them. There's a few good players running around too.
Looking across the competition, Ben, of course, Bribey Island finishing second in the pre-season comp, getting pipped by Noosa on the line there, but some pretty even results, not too many blowout games. Are there any teams that you're going to be wary of as the season rolls through?
Well, a bit wary of Gympie at the moment because Noosa beat them 74-6. And then up there at Noosa, Gympie on the weekend, they turned around and beat Caloundra 50 points to 0. So I think they've got a lot of players that they work away in the mines and that. And so every 2 weeks they're going to have a super hot side. They got blokes like Chris Walker and that playing for them. And so they've obviously depleted 1 week, and then next week they're bloody super hot. So we don't know what to expect.
You just have to look at that draw and hope you dodge them on the hot week, Ben. I'd say so, mate. But and that's the beauty of the competition at this level. It throws up the different surprises, and I guess there's that rawness of players that have to work some weeks and come back. And I know we've called a couple of games where players have had to rush off at half time because they start a shift at a pub or whatever it is. And I think the rawness of the comp is one of its real attractions. Yeah,
I think the comp's died off a lot over the last few years because of that situation. A lot of people have left the coast to find work, and that's a big factor. Yeah, and there's a lot of people. There's a few people on my side can only train certain nights too because they do work in pubs and bottle shops and IGAs and that, and it's night shifts and that. So you've just got to persevere with it and take them as they come.
Yeah, that's right. But I think the comp as a whole does a great job to work around it. Now, you do battle, I guess, with Nambour this weekend at Stockland Stadium. So that game is on Saturday, I think. Is that right, Ben? Saturday, 6 p.m. kickoff?
Saturday, 6 o'clock. Yeah, we're curtain raiser for the Legends of League game in State of Origin. So that'll be a good thrill for all the boys because we'll be down the dressing sheds and all that as all the old greats are getting ready to run out for their game. So, yeah, everyone's looking forward to that one. Yeah, that should be a great night out. I encourage people to get along in a great afternoon of rugby league. The under-18s kick off at 3 p.m, then the reserve grade 4:30, that A-grade game at 6 p.m, and then that Legends of League 7:30. A huge day out at Stockland Stadium. Ben, very much thank you for your time this morning here on SportsFeva, and no doubt we'll catch up with you often throughout the season as we track Bribey Island Sea Eagles' progress in season 2013. Thanks for joining us on SportsFeva this morning. No worries. Thanks a lot for that.
Cheers, Ben.
Cheers,
Bye.
Ben. Ben Olsen, coach of the Bribey Island Sea Eagles. It's still hard to not... It runs off the tongue, the Bribey Island War Eagles swamp, but Bribey Island Sea Eagles.
Look, it does, but to be absolutely blunt, I think, Matty, if there wasn't this, I suppose, association brought in this year, there was going to be a War Eagles team at all, unfortunately. It's just I suppose, the way that the competition is at the moment, a lot of teams dealing with players shifting because of work, and when I suppose that's then hurting the teams that were strapped for players week in, week out anyway. They just couldn't pull a full side together. But wonderful that association is still there and the opportunity is still there for those reserve grade boys to still work their way up. And look, I tell you what, the reward is fantastic when you do get there to play alongside these Queensland Cup players, to train alongside them. And fans of the Bribey Island War Eagles might be a little upset about not the normal number of games at Bernie Foley. There's not too many better stadiums across Queensland to watch than Stockland. It is a wonderful facility up there and well worth the trip to go up and sit in that grandstand and watch a game. It's just a fantastic facility there, and between there, I think you can stop at Dolphin Oval and keep going to Suncorp, and they're probably the three best venues I've been to watch rugby league in sort of 2 or 3 hours.
What about the Snake Pit?
Look, the Snake Pit's good, and it has its charm, but Stockland is very special. So
I like the pit.
I fully encourage you, especially the Royal Eagles fans, to make the trip up there and cheer the boys on.
Now, what will they play a couple of games at Bernie Foley?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
the setup is, it's always it's a draw. No, it's a job no one ever wants. But I believe the idea is that whenever the Sunny Coast, the Sunshine Coast, play in the Queensland Cup, the Frogs will play at Stockland in a lead-up when the Sunshine Coast are away, and if a home game happens to coincide with the Sunshine Coast competition, they'll play at Bernie Foley. So basically, when the Q Cup's at Stockland, they'll play at Stockland, and when it's not, and they have a home game, they'll play at Bernie Foley. So it doesn't look like this one is, just looking at that schedule there, but I imagine the curtain raiser before the Legends of League, which should be an absolutely fantastic game in itself as well. So there still will be games at Bernie Foley Oval, no doubt, and the reserves still turning up there as well when they can. Obviously the Sunshine Coast keen to keep that Fog-style lead-in game before the Q Cup.
Absolutely. It is 18 minutes past 8. Time for a quick word for our sponsors. We'll be back to talk to Caboolture coach Chuck Tomlinson. 20 minutes past 8 here on 101.5. You listen to SportsFeva with Matthew and Swampy Marsh. Just spoken to Bribey coach. Swamp time now to talk to good friend of the show. He's the coach of the Caboolture Snakes in 2013. A big good morning to Chuck Tomlinson.
How are you?
Look, we're really good, Shook. Great to have the competition started. Great to have your voice back on the radio. It means that the Snakes must be around and about, so it's always a good morning, Shook. But before we get started into the competition proper, how have you seen the pre-season unfold under your watch?
Yeah, it was nice to have a little bit of a glimpse at what lays ahead of us, and yeah, we sort of went in to all games with a different team each week and had a look at different players in different positions and some reserve graders playing A grade. So, mate, we're going to go into it this week with pretty much full strength. So, yeah, we'll do well this year.
Now, for people that are following the Snakes last year, who are some of the names that will be back again in 2013, Chuck?
We've pretty much got the same crew of guys there. We've lost a couple of guys to the mines, and then we had three of the young guys, Jake Carl and Scott Maddock and Chad, go to the Dolphins, but they've all come back now. So they did the pre-season, and work commitment sort of made it a bit tough for them guys to see out their time there, but they've come back with a bit of experience off that, and they're sort of going to shape well for us this year.
I guess, an ideal situation for you, Shook. You did look like you were going to lose those guys to the Finns, but they come back with a full pre-season under a Queensland Cup club. They'll be much better for that experience, won't they?
Yeah, they're more open to what league's about, and they've seen it in the eyes of sort of a professional and semi-professional, and mate, they've taken away bits and pieces, and hopefully especially Jake Carl's brought a bit back to the boys, and he's brought a little bit back there, which is good, and it can only benefit them. So that's the main thing.
Sure, looking through the results of the pre-season and just bringing everyone up to date, a very narrow loss to Bribey Island in the first round, and Bribey Island coach Ben Olsen said they were very lucky to get out of that one. He said it was by the skin of their teeth. Round 2, a draw with Caloundra, 17 all. In round 3, defeating Kawana 22-20, and in the grand final weekend defeating Nambour 28-22. Some pretty good results there, Chook, especially considering you were, I suppose, trying a lot of players in different positions and still working out what was going to be your first choice side.
Yeah, that were good results. Like the Bribey game, that was one that we had won. They didn't beat us. We slipped. I made an interchange there as they were attacking midway out. I just pulled one of the boys off, and on that period of pulling him off and one going on, he slipped over going to the defensive line and just created the hole, and they took it. So, mate, I said to the boys, that was down to me, but give or take, I weren't concerned about it. I'd seen enough in that game to sort of walk away happy and knowing that we're going to have a team that's going to compete this year. So, yeah, it was just introduced. The next 2 games we got washed out against Caloundra, and then Kawana we just introduced a couple of little plays in there, and the boys did well out of it, and sort of hopefully the penny sunk that if we can do them plays in the right areas, we're going to come away with points.
Especially good, I suppose, Chook, to get a win over Caloundra in the pre-season. No hiding from some of those demons from last year. A disappointing way to end the season for the boys. Is that something that you put out of your mind, or is it something that you'll be reminding them of on occasion throughout the year? The fact that I suppose they had that potential, extraordinary game in the last round of the season, but just couldn't get up in the finals, and were a bit shaken in those last 2 games.
Yeah, it's something that we're going to speak about. We haven't brought too much up at the moment. We've just sort of let it go. But coming tonight's training, we're going to sort of sit down as a group and talk about it and remind them that, if you're not consistent throughout the year, you get beat, and you got to take every game as a final. And I sort of thought last year we just went through the motions of some games knowing we're going to win. But then when you come to the finals and you got to up the ante, we just couldn't lift at that stage. So I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on them to be aware of that this year. So, when it comes, we'll be ready for it.
Chook, you've been across this competition for a lot of years and very familiar with a lot of these sides. Noosa and Bribie look to be a couple of the front runners given their form in the pre-season. Are there any other teams outside of those that you'll be keeping a pretty close eye on?
Yeah, look, how often does it seem that way? And at the back end of the year, you see Kawana and Gympie be up there, So, I'm not rating. I've only seen the southern teams really. I haven't seen too much of the northern teams. So, for me, and I said this to the boys, regardless if Bribie are one of the benchmarks, in our heads we know we can beat them. We let them off the hook the other week with some silly stuff, but we'll beat them. We'll be very competitive with them. So we sort of go into it knowing that if we do what we got to do right, we're going to be up there, and we just got to be aware that we're playing stronger teams week in, week out, which should be better for the boys.
It all starts this Sunday against fierce rivals, the Noosa Pirates, up there at Pirate Park. Under 18s at 10 to 12, reserve grade at 20 past 1, and then the A grade kicks off at 3 p.m. We look forward to hearing the results from the game and getting down to the Snake Pit when the Snakes arrive there in this season. Chuck Tomlinson, thanks for joining us on SportsFeva this morning, and we'll no doubt talk to you throughout season 2013.
No dramas. Can I just finish off with, if people are interested, come down and see some of these under-18s. We have a really good set of under-18s, and mate, if people come and follow these guys, you'll see some up-and-coming Q Cup players there if they pursue that sort of line. There's some quality kids there, and they played well in the pre-season games.
Absolutely. Well, there we go. Chook said get along and watch those under-18s, and I fully back that up there. They play a real good quality brand of football, and look forward to following some of those names throughout the season. Thanks for that, Chook. Thanks for the tip-off, and we'll talk to you soon.
No problem, boys.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Chook.
Chuck Tomlinson, coach of the Caboolture Snakes, and has been at the Caboolture setup for a couple of years, a few years ago, and then had a couple of years off and been back, I think, 3 years now, maybe 4 even again. But like we said, that fierce rivalry versus Noosa, of course, played in a losing grand final versus the Pirates, and looking forward to this game, though, Swan.
And haven't played Noosa in this pre-season competition, so two teams that haven't seen each other yet, and as I said, Noosa, probably one of the few sides to really get some big wins in this pre-season competition. The rest was very, very even, but Noosa's pulled out some very big wins over some sides, so it'll be interesting to see how they do go, and especially against the Caboolture side that, look, if they've got the bulk of that side from last year there, there's no reason they won't be very competitive come finals times. No doubt about it, matey. You and I were there last year. That wasn't the same Caboolture side in those final 2 games there. There's unfinished business for sure. They didn't turn up like they had been in that run home to the finals. So if they've got that same side there, another year under their belt, a few of their players with some Q Cup pre-season experience, they'll be a very good side again this year, Caboolture. Absolutely, and we'll get confirmation when we speak to James Ward in a moment. But the rumour in the off-season was that, well, we know
Nolly Galthorpe is back as coach of the Noosa Pirates, but the rumour was he was going to play as a player coach, and that his friend Scott Hill was going to also play. So, judging by the results, fair chance you'd say that those guys may have been playing, but we'll get confirmation from James Ward and some of those other names that might be lining up for Gympie as well. Like I had heard and Ben threw it out that Chris Walker is lining up for Gympie as well, and we've seen Barry Berrigan play for them in previous years. Of course, Adam Starr as well. I don't think Starry is going around at this stage, but
everyone says that before a pre-season.
He has, like this, he does hold the record. He has made a comeback every year since 2006, Adam Starr.
And still an outstanding player, and really led the way in that game against Caboolture in the final last year. Just a fantastic player, Adam Starr.
So we'll give Starry a chance. I reckon he'd be favoured to make a comeback before the season ends. We'll play a quick song and we'll be back to talk to James Ward about the season in full at Sunshine Coast Gympie Rugby League. It's 25 to 9 here on 101.5. You listen to SportsFeva with Matthew and Swampy Marsh, and we've now we spoke to coach of Bribie Island Caboolture. Now time to talk to the boss of the whole competition. He's the man that knows how every team is travelling, and time to talk to the season ahead. We're pretty keen to make it a weekly or fortnightly thing with Mr. James Ward joining us on the line. Good morning to you, James. Sorry, I didn't press James. A bad start to James. Good morning to you, James. How are you?
Yes, mate, still here. How are
Got you, mate. Very well, mate. We're very excited about the season proper kicking off in the Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League, and no doubt, mate, you'd be very excited as well.
Mate, you're spot on. It's very exciting times for us and for everyone involved with the game, mate. I think it's just shaping up to such a close season, I guess, is the right way to put it. Teams are stacking up well, and mate, we're looking forward to seeing them out there.
Yeah, it looks we've particularly followed some of these southern clubs so far here in our region. Of course, we just spoke to the coach of Bribie and Caboolture, and they're very keen on their chances in the season ahead. Seen some big score lines. A couple of names, we just want some confirmation. A couple of names floated around that may be playing for different sides. Some of those players with NRL experience. James, can you fill us in the rumour that Galthorpe is again, as well as coaching, playing for Noosa, possibly Scott Hill, and we've heard Chris Walker may line up for Gympie on a fortnightly basis as well.
Oh, mate, there's probably no secret in the Goldie Scott Hill factor. They're featured through the pre-season competition through Anzac Cup. They've led the Pirates around very, very capably through the pre-season, which obviously led to them getting into the final and winning that final. And with Chrissy Walker, mate, Chris was a signing at Gympie a little over a week ago and played last weekend. Unfortunately, he did a groin injury, unfortunately for Gympie, but mate, hopefully he bounces back.
Fantastic. Any other names that we might have missed there with that NRL experience in the competition? Because traditionally, as we know, we've seen some great former NRL stars come back and play some swan song years in this competition, and including, of course, Galthorpe and Billy Moore we've seen run around as well. Alfie had a season as well with the Sharks. Any other names we might have missed there?
No, I don't think so, mate, not at this point in time, but we'd take any if they want to come back. We'd love to have them in our competition.
James, the other, I suppose, big news in the off-season was the Sunshine Coast Seagulls affiliation with the Warragulls, and great to see that the Warragulls still maintain a presence in this competition through that association. A few people before the season kicked off expected they'd come in and sort of crush it, but it hasn't been the case at all. Some very close games there for the Bribie Island Seagulls. What's the competition as a whole sort of make of that association, and how's it going to leave the Bribie Island name, you think?
Well, mate, first and foremost, as you touched on, it's very important that the game of rugby league is happening on the island at the A-grade level, and the Bribie club, they wouldn't shy away from the fact that the times are a bit tough and player strength-wise in recent years, and mate, the marriage with the Seagulls, mate, we hope will enable the Bribie club to rebuild around that marriage, with a view to standing on their own 2 feet once again, very proudly as they have for 30 years in the competition. And
some, we talk about them at length on this show, but some amazing names come out of that club, especially recently in the likes of Matt Gillette and Jack Reed. So it would be a shame to see the next Matt Gillette and Jack Reed not have the opportunity to progress through, from an under-18 to a reserve to an A grade and then possibly Q Cup level.
Mate, that's exactly how the Sunny Coast Gympie Rugby League board sees that situation, and hence the marriage this year with the Seagulls, and it's been supported by all and sundry. The club presidents from across the league have voted in favour of that some months ago, and as you said before, the team has shown that they're they're going to be a very strong team. I think it reflects well on the rest of our competitions to show that they're not going to come in, we don't believe, and absolutely dominate the competition. But, there's plenty of good rugby league sides on the Sunshine Coast that can't wait to play against them.
Yes, I think it really adds to the competition. Look at the games this week, James. It all starts as we spoke to Ben Olsen about the big afternoon at Stockland Stadium on Saturday, with the under-18s kicking off at 3 p.m, right through to a Legends of League match at 7:30. But the A-grade game, Bribie versus Nambour at 6 o'clock rather. How do you see this one unfolding, mate?
Yeah, look, I think the Seagulls, the Bribie Seagulls, have flexed their muscles in the pre-season. They've shown that they're going to be a tall order to overcome. Nambour, however, they've shown some good early signs. They struggled a bit last year. Their early signs have been quite promising. They've had two victories in the pre-season, one over Maroochydore, one over Gympie, both sides that figured prominently last year. So I think a young Nambour side full of enthusiasm will be giving it their all on the stadium, but the Seagulls will be a tough ask for them, though.
The next game on the Saturday night is a very interesting one, James. Gympie versus Maroochydore. Maroochydore sort of a middling side through that pre-season competition, and Gympie not really doing much until that grand final weekend where they absolutely thrashed Caloundra 50-10. Gympie foxing a little bit, that looks to me. What's your tip in that game?
Yes, mate, suspend all betting on this one, I'd say. Maroochydore and Gympie, I think the both of them have got a lot more to offer than we saw through the pre-season, and for that reason I think they'll both be out to make a statement this weekend, and the game should be a cracker.
And an interesting clash, of course, to kick Sunday off at Pirate Park. A lot of history between Noosa and Caboolture. The teams haven't, of course, played in this pre-season, so interesting to see where those teams do sit. Always feeling in this one, James. Where do you see it going?
Well, mate, Noosa will be feeling pretty good about themselves after their run through the pre-season, and they should do. And I'm sure Chucky Tomlinson will be very keen to make a statement with his boys against the team that won the pre-season competition. So, I expect Chucky to go up there very hungry for the points with his crew, and mate, with Goldie unlikely to play this week due to injuries sustained last week, mate, there might be a chance of getting the points away from home, the Snakies.
And then the other game on Sunday, and it's always a fierce rivalry. They share a border. Caloundra and Kawana, Sharks and Dolphins, they never get on either way. Kawana defending premiers. How do you see this one unfolding? Yeah, look, Kawana, whilst they didn't win the pre-season competition, I think that the word on the ground is Kawana may still be the team to beat. They've had a few players come back in recent weeks. They're building very nicely in their playing ranks, and Caloundra struggled a bit last week, and it'll be a tall order to bounce back. However, they are at home, and I'm sure they'll be wanting to show they're faithful with what they've got in them. Is Robbie Bruff still at the helm at Kawana? Rob Bruff's coaching at Kawana once again, yep. So mate, you can expect them to be a disciplined, well-structured side as they were last year. Absolutely. It's a great weekend ahead. We can't wait to see it in action as well. And there's also some great Red Rooster Cup games as well this weekend. A few of our local teams here in the Moreton Bay region doing battle. Biawar play Palmwoods at Beachmere at 1:30. Beachmere play Pomona at Beachmere as well, so we've got a double header there. And then Yandina and Mary Valley and Kawana and Kilcoy do battle at Kawana also. So some great games in the Red Rooster Cup as well, James. Yes, mate, those double headers on a Saturday afternoon, they're a fantastic family event, and I'd urge anybody that hasn't been along to one to get along and have a look at some of those matches this year. It's a great little competition. Yeah, it's a wonderful competition all round on the Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League. Too much footy is never enough, James. Thanks for your time this morning, mate, and like we said, we'll try and make this a regular thing throughout the season. Look forward to catching up again. Thanks, James. Cheers, mate. See you guys. Bye now. Fantastic competition ahead, Swampy. I'm looking forward to some of these games. Like we said, what a way to catch it. The local ones we spoke about here, but Caloundra and Kawana traditionally hate each other as well. They're very close geographically, and they've been known to pinch players off each other over the years, so that'll be a super game as well. We had Robbie Bruff on the show at the back end of last year, Matty, and not to underestimate his effort. He was
coach of the 18s reserves and the A grade last year, and the A grade side undefeated. So tremendous effort there from Robbie Bruff, and he'll be very keen to back that up this year. So good to hear he's back on board. Just on those Red Rooster Cup games, a fantastic doubleheader at Beachmere there on Saturday afternoon. Definitely worth getting down to and seeing the Pelicans do battle.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a real. Quality isn't huge, but there's some entertainment. Entertainment is probably the key word there, and I'll try and get down to those ones myself. That doubleheader should be a great game, and also good luck to the Yowies doing battle at Kiwana as well. I know a few of the Yowies players love to listen to the show, big fans of the Fever, so look forward, and we might try and catch up with someone from the Yowies in the next couple of weeks. Time for a quick song. We'll be back to talk to Sam Obst. It's just gone 11 minutes to 9. You listen to Sports Fever with Matthew and Swampy. Now, Swampy spoke plenty of Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League this morning. Time now to turn our attention to the In-Trust Super Cup, and the Redcliffe Dolphins head up to Cairns this weekend to do battle with the Northern Pride, a team that's had the wood on them over the last couple of years. An interesting name in Northern Pride lineup this year. He's a name familiar to a lot of Dolphins fans. I guess you could call him Nelly Dolphins royalty with his bloodlines. We're talking to none other than Sam Obst. He joins us on the line right now. Good morning, Sam. Morning, mate. Thanks for joining us on Sports Fever, and great to see you back in the In-Trust Super Cup. Now, mate, we've mentioned that I guess famous bloodlines through the Dolphins, of course, through your grandfather and father, both famous names at the Finns, mate. How's it going to be lining up against Redcliffe again after all these years?
Yeah, I mean, sort of haven't really thought about it too much, but yeah, now that I'm speaking to you boys, it's going to be interesting. I don't think I've ever actually played against Redcliffe, so I've always played for them, so it's going to be, it'd be interesting, but, I'm playing for Northern Pride now, so I've got to do my job on the field and hopefully come away with the 2 points for us, mate.
Absolutely. If we turn back the clock, though, Sam, to your time at the Finns, you're a two-time cult of the year, I think, and played with some great names in some of those cult sides. I think you're a halves pairing with Mickey Roberts, Mick Crocker and Ben Jones. I think Brent Tate might have been in some of those sides as well.
Tatey was there. I think Trent Clayton.
Yep, another Caboolture boy.
John Olzard as well, I think.
Yep.
A fair few of them, I think. Fair few of us went on to play NRL, which is pretty good stat, I think, for how many there was. But Redcliffe's such a strong club, mate. I mean, it's always going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And rugby league, we spoke earlier in the show about your career. Just for those that mightn't be aware of career, you headed off from Redcliffe down to the Roosters, and then I guess rugby league took you on a real journey around the world.
Yeah, mate, it was pretty interesting. Yeah, I played 2 years in Colt, and then I was signed with the Roosters after my first year on a scholarship type thing. I think that's how Trent Clayton ended up coming to the club as well. They were on sort of a scholarship type deal, and a couple of other blokes I think came there when Rex had a bit of a link with them. And then I went down with Trent Clayton and Mick Crocker, and I went down to the Roosters. I was there for 3 years, and I went to West Tigers for a year. And then came back up to Brisbane and went to Whitehaven in the league below, Super League over there. I've always wanted to travel, so it was sort of a thing as well. Sort of fell out of love with the game, I think, a little bit at the end of the Tigers sort of stint, and then went over there. Thought I'd do a bit more travelling, then made the grand final with Whitehaven when I was 2004, and we just missed out because it was promotion relegation at that time. So we went into extra time in the grand final, missed out on getting into Super League through promotion, but then I got signed by Wakefield, and I spent 6 or 7 years there. I can't remember exactly. And then I went to Hull FC for a season, and then I went back down the league below to play for Keighley with an old mate who I played with at Wakefield, who was coaching, and then went back to Northern Pride.
Sam, the opportunities are definitely not just domestically for players anymore. Is it something that you'd recommend some of those, especially those Queensland Cup players who play in a tremendous competition who might just not crack the NRL, is it something that you'd recommend those boys give a long, hard thought to if they are keen on pursuing rugby league as a career?
Yeah, I mean, the comp's gotten a hell of a lot better over there well, to be honest, in 2005, my first year Super League, it wasn't the best. But and then a couple of years after that, it just improved out of sight, and it's improved even more in the last few years. But I definitely recommend it. It's the whole quota thing and the passport thing. You've got to if you've got a UK passport, and say you're on the fringe of NRL and you can't get, go over and see if you can get a crack over there. Definitely, But yeah, you've got to have a European, Italian passport or a British passport, something like that. That's the best way. And you've got to have a bit of NRL under your belt, I think, before some clubs like a Super League club now may look at you, or at least be associated with an NRL club. So, but it's definitely something worth doing. Even playing the league below over there, it's still a good standard. You can get over there, you can still be full-time playing in that league, or if you go over there, work and play. But yeah, it's great. It's a good experience. I mean, if you want to do some travelling through Europe, which I did myself, like I mentioned before, yeah, it's great. Or even the French comp, and that finishes in May. Starts from, I think, November or October, and I think it finishes in May. So you got like the whole summer through Europe if you wanted to do some travelling after that. But I would recommend that, 100% to, you got to do it. Definitely.
Certainly is a great experience, and we have seen a couple of Redcliffe players in recent years try that French competition that you just spoke of in particular. You're back at the Pride now, Sam, and you spoke about the quality of course, Super League. How have you found the quality of the Queensland Cup in the first couple of rounds of the season? Yeah,
it's certainly quicker than I think the league below Super League over there. If you lose one ruck. You lose one ruck here and then you're gone. It's hard to recover it back. It's just bang, bang, bang. It's definitely good comp. But it's hard for me to remember really what Queensland Cup was like because I haven't played it since 1999. So it's hard to sort of remember.
Does that start to make you feel a bit old as well, Sam? That in between.
Yeah, mate. Well, touch wood have been pretty lucky over the years with injuries and all that sort of stuff. So. Yeah, it's all about how your body feels, and I think once you go, I'm 33 this year, so once you get to that sort of around that age, you just take it year by year.
And I guess the other big thing, living in the UK and playing there for so long, how have you adapted to I guess you've probably gone to the hottest venue in the Queensland Cup up there in Cairns. How have you found acclimatising to the different playing conditions?
Yeah, it's very different. It's ridiculous. It's like I've gone from the freezer into the frying pan, really. From over there where I was doing hill sessions on a Saturday morning over there in 4 inches of snow, coming back over here to doing training and just literally standing there and the sweat pours off. You hadn't started running yet, so it's pretty. It's been a bit of a shock. But yeah, it's the humidity up here is just ridiculous. It's just incredible, But yeah, acclimatised, I think I'm still probably getting used to it, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it would certainly be tough. And you spoke, of course, so long between your stints in the Queensland Cup. Another player that you'll line up against this Saturday night, who's back in the Queensland Cup after many seasons. He's 1994. Big Petro Simnasiva. How are the Pride boys going to tackle the big fella on Saturday night?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I haven't seen too much footage of actually Pedro playing. I've missed a couple of their games that are on TV. But yeah, it'll be interesting with El Petro coming back. I'm sure he's fit as a fiddle, mate. I mean, he just keeps going and going and going. So that's the thing. He's just not. It's just going to be relentless. He's just going to be pulling them forward. We've just got to do your best. But I'm sure they've got some players that can go off the back of Petro. It's not only Petro that can get him going forward. So we've got other players to worry about as well. But yeah, Petro, I'm sure he gives the players around him a lot of confidence too.
Yeah, no, they're certainly coming off a couple of wins after a couple of disappointing losses. The Dolphins. It'll be a great clash up there on Saturday night. Sam, we really thank you for your time this morning and filling it in your career. It's been an exciting career across many years, and we look forward to seeing you in action throughout 2013 in Northern Pride colours.
Thanks very much, mate.
Thanks, Sam. Cheers, mate.
Please.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
I told you it'd be an interesting story there, Swamp.
Very interesting story, and a lesson there for any players that might want to keep pursuing the career there. And it sounds like you had a wonderful time over in Europe, and definitely a way to continue your rugby league career if the NRL doesn't open up to you.
Really, size is something. Only little fella, Sammy Ops, and I never got the crack I think he deserved at NRL level. He's a super talented player. So, I mean, I think if some of those teams, the Roosters, the Tigers, had developed a bit more and thrown him a bit more of a lifeline, he would have been a 100-game player at NRL level. He was a really good little player, Sam Ops.
A bit of a danger game for the Finns this weekend, though, Matty. The Pride had the wood over them for a little while, and you and I talking off there. Wins over teams that probably aren't going to feature in September, so could be a little bit of a false dawn perhaps for the Finns in terms of wins. So important they go up there and do the tough stuff to get a win over the Pride. It's going to be a big game.
And unconfirmed reports, Sliney is in doubt and could be in doubt for a couple of weeks. So disappointing for both Broncos and the Dolphins. Of course, he'd in and out of that Broncos side, and as was for
and doing a job very well.
Yeah, and he's been doing it, like a couple of times. He's been that 18th man and had to do the warm up, and it doesn't get to play and plays. He comes back for the Dolphins and plays enormous. And mentally, that is so hard to adjust for those players. Ready to play in front of 20 to 30,000, come back and play in front of a couple of hundred sometimes, depending where they're playing. And
whenever he does that, he does the job every time. It can't be overestimated, that effort.
We're huge fans of Nick Sol. We give him the SportsFeva stamp.
The stamp, gone beyond the bump.
That's
the stamp.
One step further.
Right.
And he's the first ever awardee of the SportsFeva stamp.
Really sound effect for that.
We'll get Joey onto that. Full-time siren about to go. Thanks for everyone for listening. Our local rugby league extravaganza this morning. Ben Olsen from Bribie Island, Chuck Tomlinson from the Caboolture Snakes, James Ward from the Sunshine Coast Gympie Rugby League, and Redcliffe Royalty, and now Pride at 5'8". Sam Ops this morning. Stand by now for the local news.